Around 11 years ago, in 2013, cryptocurrency was still a niche concept. The price of Bitcoin was sitting at a mere $100. Most people thought of crypto as a digital curiosity, and not the financial phenomenon it will soon become. But amid this uncertainty, a company called Genesis Global Capital emerges. Founded in 2013 by Barry Silbert, Genesis wasn't just another crypto startup. It had a vision to bridge the gap between traditional finance and the evolving crypto world. They focused on lending and trading services for institutions, businesses and hedge funds that wanted to dive into the crypto space but needed a trusted partner to handle the complexities. Fast forward to 2021, and Genesis was thriving. They recorded over $102 billion in transactional volume and a jaw-dropping $131 billion in loan originations. It was a leader in its field and a symbol of success in the crypto lending space. However, in January 2023, a span of 2 years later, the company had to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, listing over $3.4 billion in liabilities. From market leader to collapsing, what caused this downfall? Let's uncover the truth of Genesis Global Capital as I hand it over to Janja.
Let's talk about the causes of the crisis itself. Many outsiders may think that the downfall of Genesis was caused by cryptocurrency crashing in 2022. But delving deeper leads to more prominent issues. First, although the firm's financial performance was robust, its reliance on over-leveraged borrowers and collateralized digital assets were an issue, as it made the business highly susceptible to market downturns. This ties to Three Arrows Capital, a cryptocurrency hedge fund and key major clients of Genesis, reportedly totaling over $2.36 billion in under-collateralized loans. Due to Three Arrows Capital's substantial investments in the Terra ecosystem, the collapse of Terra made the firm break down. In turn, they were unable to pay off their debts to Genesis, as the sudden liquidation caused their debts to be defaulted. This incident quickly exposed the firm's vulnerability. Secondly, Genesis' business-to-business model had its weaknesses, as it relied heavily on the financial health of other crypto firms, creating a system where the failure of one entity could trigger a domino effect, as seen by the Three Arrows Capital incident. This business model also had flaws in its lack of diversification. Not branching into other sectors like trading and staking or asset management proved to be a weakness, as it made the company particularly vulnerable when the lending market dried up. Thirdly, the leadership under CEO Michael Morrow was also a root cause of this collapse. His decision to extend large loans to hedge funds without implementing adequate risk mitigation measures exposed the firm to significant counterparty risk. Furthermore, Genesis' leadership team failing to adapt to early warning signs of market instability was also a reason for the collapse. Fourth, regulatory issues. While it was not the main reason for its downfall, the absence of regulations in such a volatile lending space contributed to the firm's vulnerability. The firm's high-risk operations and lack of mandates to maintain reserve capital was due to a lack of regulatory practices, ultimately leading the firm facing a crisis that could have been well avoided. Now, I'll pass it to Jiaqing to talk about the risks that were involved in this crisis.
First, liquidity risk, an invisible threat that can bring even the mightiest of institutions to their knees. Liquidity risk arises when a company cannot convert its assets into cash quickly enough to meet obligations. For Genesis, this threat became all too real during the cryptocurrency crash of 2022. As asset values plummeted, customers rushed to withdraw funds only to find Genesis unprepared. The company's over-reliance on illiquid assets and the defaults of major borrowers like Three Arrows Capital and FTX created a perfect storm. Without a contingency plan, Genesis was left floundering, a stark reminder of the critical need for robust liquidity risk management. Next, systemic risk. This refers to how failures in one company can ripple through an entire industry. Genesis was deeply intertwined with firms like Three Arrows Capital, FTX, and BlockFi. When these companies collapsed, it created a domino effect, spreading panic and tightening liquidity across the entire crypto ecosystem. Systemic risk is a cascading effect, and in the interconnected world of crypto, no company is an island. Genesis' deep ties to Three Arrows Capital, FTX, and BlockFi mean their collapse was not just an isolated incident. The unregulated nature of the cryptocurrency market only amplified the crisis, leaving Genesis caught in a whirlwind of external chaos. But the story doesn't end there. Idiosyncratic risk, which arises from poor internal decisions, played a significant role in Genesis' downfall. Genesis made risky loans to Three Arrows Capital without adequate collateral, and when Three Arrows Capital failed, it heavily impacted Genesis. The over-reliance on high-risk clients turned Genesis into a house of cards. When Three Arrows Capital defaulted, the cracks became vicious. The company's lack of diversification and transparency in financial reporting further eroded trust, leaving stakeholders in the dark and sealing its fate. In the end, the collapse of Genesis Global Capital stands as a stark warning to all in the crypto industry. Poor risk management, over-reliance on high-risk partners, and systemic vulnerabilities coalesce into a perfect storm. One that reshaped the landscape of digital asset lending forever. Now, I will pass it over to Jing Huang, who will share the recommendations moving forward.
To recover from such a downfall isn't easy for a company in Genesis' position, but it isn't impossible. What they need is a well-thought-out, multi-step strategy that begins with restructuring as well as diversifying their portfolio. Let's start with restructuring. After filing for bankruptcy, Genesis has essentially lost most of its operational flexibility and market credibility. Hence, restructuring should be the most important method to consider. Our restructuring recommendation takes heavy inspiration from BlockFi, a similar firm who faced a crisis but has managed to emerge from bankruptcy. The first step would be to settle their existing debt. BlockFi has done this by securing a credit facility from FTX. Genesis, on the other hand, can seek emergency funding from its parent company, Digital Currency Group, or other stakeholders. Although not a long-term solution, this injection of capital can buy time for the firm to implement other reforms, as well as maintain liquidity. Next, Genesis should also adopt stricter collateral requirements, as well as revise their loan approval process to prioritize creditworthiness, potentially investing in automated risk assessment tools to reduce exposure to high-risk clients like before. After restructuring and having enough resources, they should seek diversification. Instead of relying on crypto lending, they can explore fiat-based lending or portfolio management services. These appeal to a broader and less volatile client base, and have been successfully implemented by companies like Coinbase. Another intriguing option is tokenized asset services. Think about real-world assets like real estate or art, where ownership can be digitized and traded on blockchain. Genesis already has the expertise in blockchain, so why not leverage it for a growing market? This could open doors to new revenue streams while reducing their reliance on the unpredictable crypto lending sector. These options may come with challenges and risks, such as diluted equity or strained relationships with existing creditors, and diversifying into unknown sectors may be risky due to lack of knowledge. But we believe these strategies are necessary if Genesis wishes to emerge from bankruptcy and resume operations. Now I will pass the presentation to Sachdev.
So, now let's talk about what Genesis has already done and the measures they have taken. After the collapse, Genesis took several steps to stabilize itself and regain trust. So first, they overhauled their leadership. Michael Moreau, who was the CEO at that time, faced criticism for his high-risk decisions. In August 2022, he was replaced by interim CEO Dawar Islam, and Genesis introduced new advisors, a new CFO, and even introduced a new Chief Risk Officer role to strengthen the risk management. Next was workforce restructuring. So Genesis laid off around 20% of the 260 employees. This move aimed to reduce costs and enhance the efficiency of company wages, thus truly showcased the severity of the crisis. Besides, Genesis also got help from the parent company, Digital Currency Group. Their approach was more unique, so instead of just assisting by lending or subsidizing funds, they helped file a $1.2 billion claim to recover some of the massive losses from GAC's defaults. This showed DCG's commitment to supporting Genesis through legal and financial means. But here's the big question: have these efforts worked? Unfortunately, the results suggest otherwise. But as of today, Genesis remains in bankruptcies. Its liabilities are overwhelming, and updates from the company have ceased since early 2024. These measures, while necessary, didn't tackle the core issues of poor risk management and over-reliance on the volatile crypto market.
In summary, Genesis' downfall from one of the biggest cryptocurrency lenders to falling into liquidation problems and having to announce bankruptcy stems from multiple reasons, but can be generalized as it doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. Their reliance on high-risk borrowers, combined with a lack of diversification and inadequate risk management in such a volatile market that is cryptocurrency, left them exposed. When the crypto market crashed in 2022, these cracks widened. The problems were compounded when looking at factors like leadership failures and a flawed business model. The efforts to recover, like leadership changes, layoffs, and legal actions, show their desperation to keep the firm alive, but have fell short to deeper structural issues. To truly recover, we believe Genesis needs a comprehensive restructuring plan and diversify their operations, as it provides them with enough capital to get on their feet and prioritizes on long-term growth instead of short-term money flows like before. In the end, Genesis' story is a cautionary tale about the importance of preparation and adaptability in volatile markets. Whether they rise again depends on their ability to learn from the past and rebuild with resilience.
Now coming from crypto firm Genesis, set to plan a bankruptcy filing. Now, of course,
when it comes to the market and after products. Now remember, Genesis